Discussion on verses 1 to 19 of 19. This chapter opens by describing a series of overwhelming and unimaginable events that will occur on the Day of Judgment, events that will completely overturn the order and stability of the universe. The purpose of these powerful descriptions is to awaken people from heedlessness and complacency. They serve as a clear reminder that if the most powerful and firmly established elements of creation can be dismantled so effortlessly, then what preparation has each individual made for their own accountability on that inevitable day? Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 1 to 5.
When the sky breaks apart, and when the stars fall, scattering, and when the seas are erupted, and when the contents of graves are scattered, a soul will then know what it has put forth and kept back.
These verses urge every individual to pause and sincerely reflect on their actions, intentions, and priorities. They encourage a person to carefully examine whether their efforts are being spent on things that are temporary and limited to this world, or on deeds that will truly benefit them in the hereafter. A key reality is that anything which is genuinely beneficial will provide benefit in both worlds. Such benefit manifests as peace of mind, which is achieved by maintaining a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within one's life according to the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. On the other hand, the things that will hold no value on the Day of Judgment are, in reality, not truly beneficial even in this world, even if they appear attractive, enjoyable, or rewarding on the surface. When a person consistently misuses the blessings they have been granted, it leads to imbalance in their life. Their mental and physical state becomes unsettled, their priorities become confused, and they fail to place people, responsibilities, and resources in their proper positions. Over time, this imbalance leads to stress, anxiety, dissatisfaction, and various forms of difficulty, regardless of how much worldly comfort or luxury they may possess. Furthermore, these verses highlight a crucial truth. On that day, every soul will become fully aware of what it has sent forward and what it has left behind. This means that all actions, whether small or great, hidden or public, will be brought to account. Many of the things people dedicate their lives to will be left behind for others to benefit from, such as wealth, status, and possessions, while only their deeds will accompany them into the next life. This realization alone should encourage a person to rethink how they invest their time and energy. Therefore, it is essential for a person to regularly evaluate their intentions, speech, and actions. Through sincere and consistent self-assessment, they can ensure that their efforts are directed toward what will benefit them in both worlds. This includes prioritizing righteous deeds, fulfilling obligations, avoiding harmful actions, and using all blessings in ways that please Allah, the Exalted. Without this reflection, a person risks becoming absorbed in pursuits that offer only temporary satisfaction, ultimately leading to regret, stress, and hardship in both this life and the next. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 4 to 5.
And when the contents of graves are scattered, a soul will then know what it has put forth and kept back.
These verses may also be understood as referring to the distinction between the deeds a person chose to prioritize during their life, and those they delayed or neglected, assuming they were insignificant. On the Day of Judgment, this reality will become completely clear, as every individual will recognize what they placed at the forefront of their life and what they pushed aside. In truth, the majority of things that people prioritize in this world, even among those who believe in the Day of Judgment, will hold little or no value in the hereafter. These are often matters that society promotes as important, such as status, wealth, appearance, and worldly achievements. Because these priorities are reinforced by social influence, culture, and constant exposure through modern platforms, many people accept them without question and structure their lives around them. In contrast, the things that are often neglected or treated as secondary, such as learning, understanding, and implementing Islamic teachings, will carry immense value on the Day of Judgment. Not only will they be of great worth in the hereafter, but they also possess significant value in this world. They are the very means through which a person achieves clarity, stability, and true peace of mind. However, due to being distracted by worldly desires and blindly following prevailing trends, many fail to recognize this reality while they still have the opportunity to act upon it. A crucial point to understand is that realizing the true value of things on the day of judgment will not benefit a person at that stage. At that point, the time for action will have ended, and only the consequences of one's choices will remain. Therefore, the opportunity to recognize, understand, and correct one's priorities exists only in this life. For this reason, a person must reflect now, while there is still time to act. Through sincere reflection, they can reassess how they use their time, energy, and resources, ensuring that they are directed towards what truly matters in both worlds. Failing to do so leads to misplaced priorities, which inevitably result in an unbalanced mental and physical state in this world, along with a difficult and burdensome accountability in the hereafter. Allah, the Exalted, then cautions people against falling into deception, a deception that prevents them from attaining true peace of mind in this world, and from properly preparing for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verse 6.
O mankind, what has deceived you concerning your Lord the Generous?
This verse highlights a subtle yet dangerous form of self-deception. A person may persist in disobedience while convincing themselves that Allah, the Exalted, will not hold them accountable, simply because He has continuously bestowed countless blessings upon them. They may wrongly assume that divine generosity implies the absence of justice or punishment, leading them to feel secure in their behavior. This false sense of security is one of the greatest causes of heedlessness. In reality, the generosity of Allah, the Exalted, should inspire gratitude, humility, and obedience, not carelessness or complacency. Every blessing a person receives is a sign of His mercy, but it is also a responsibility. When these blessings are misused, they become a proof against a person rather than in their favor. Therefore, interpreting divine generosity as permission to persist in wrongdoing is a serious misunderstanding. To avoid falling into such deception, it is essential for a person to learn and understand the divine attributes and names of Allah, the Exalted, as explained in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. A correct understanding creates balance in a person's outlook. They develop hope in His mercy while also maintaining awareness of His justice and accountability. This balanced understanding motivates sincere obedience and encourages a person to use their blessings in ways that are pleasing to Him. On the other hand, ignorance of these divine attributes often leads to distorted beliefs and harmful attitudes. One common example is wishful thinking, where a person relies on the idea of forgiveness without taking the necessary steps to earn it. A person who truly understands that Allah, the Exalted, is all-forgiving will strive to obey Him, repent sincerely, and avoid sins, hoping to be granted forgiveness. In contrast, someone who misunderstands this attribute may continue in disobedience, assuming that forgiveness will be granted regardless of their actions. This verse, therefore, serves as a powerful reminder for individuals to examine the assumptions they hold about their Lord. It calls them to replace false hopes with informed understanding, and complacency with sincere effort. By doing so, a person protects themselves from deception, achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and prepares properly for their accountability in the hereafter. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verse 6.
O mankind, what has deceived you concerning your Lord the Generous?
As previously mentioned, another powerful form of deception that leads people to persist in disobeying Allah, the Exalted, is blindly following the majority within society. The behavior, values, and priorities of the majority often shape what people consider important, acceptable, or successful. As a result, many individuals begin to measure their lives according to these social standards, even when they clearly contradict divine guidance. This gradually distorts a person's priorities, causing them to focus on what society values rather than what truly benefits them in both worlds. When a person constantly observes the majority ignoring Islamic teachings, they may begin to assume that such behavior must be correct or at least acceptable. This assumption leads them to follow others without careful thought or reflection. Over time, this blind imitation becomes a habit, and the individual begins to lose the ability to distinguish between truth and falsehood, as their standard becomes the behavior of people rather than the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. In reality, the opinion of the majority has never been a reliable measure of truth. History provides many clear examples where commonly accepted beliefs were later proven false when proper knowledge and evidence emerged. A well-known example is the belief that the Earth was flat, which was widely accepted for generations despite being incorrect. This clearly shows that truth is not determined by numbers, popularity, or social acceptance, but by sound evidence and reality. For this reason, people are warned against following others without thinking. Blind conformity often leads to misguided choices, not only in worldly matters but more importantly, in matters related to one's faith and ultimate success. Chapter 6 Al-An'am, verse 116.
And if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but guessing.
Instead, a person should use the reasoning and intellect granted to them by Allah, the Exalted. They should carefully evaluate situations, seek knowledge, and base their decisions on clear evidence and authentic guidance. This may sometimes require them to go against the majority, but it ensures that their choices are grounded in truth rather than social pressure. Furthermore, Islam strongly criticizes blind imitation in matters of faith. It encourages people to learn, reflect, and act with understanding rather than simply following others. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
By adopting this approach, a person protects themselves from deception, maintains correct priorities, and ensures that their efforts are directed towards what will truly benefit them in both this world and the hereafter. After warning people against falling into deception and misdirecting their efforts toward things that will not benefit them in both worlds, Allah, the Exalted, reminds them of a fundamental truth. He is the one who created them with precision and balance, and therefore He alone knows what is best for them. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 6-8.
O mankind, what has deceived you concerning your Lord the Generous? Who created you, proportioned you, and balanced you? In whatever form He willed has He assembled you.
These verses call upon people to reflect deeply on their own creation. When a person observes the human body with an open and sincere mind, they will recognize the extraordinary precision in its design. The harmonious arrangement of organs, bones, senses, and internal systems cannot be the result of chance or randomness. Rather, it clearly points to intention, knowledge, and power. If even a simple structure requires a designer and constant maintenance, then it is far more unreasonable to believe that the human being, possessing complex physical, mental, and emotional systems, came into existence and continues to function without a creator and sustainer. The human body operates through countless interconnected processes, each dependent on the other, all functioning in delicate balance. A slight disruption in this balance can lead to illness or even death. This constant need for precision highlights the reality that continuous control and maintenance are required for life to persist. Just as Allah, the Exalted, alone ensures balance in the physical development and functioning of a person, He alone possesses the complete knowledge of how a person can achieve a balanced mental and physical state. This balance is the foundation for true peace of mind in both worlds. No matter how advanced a society becomes, and regardless of the knowledge it acquires about human behavior, psychology, or biology, it remains impossible for people to develop a complete and flawless way of life that perfectly aligns with human nature and addresses every possible situation. Human knowledge is always limited and constantly evolving. Even in modern times, people are still discovering new aspects of the human body and mind, such as the functions at different regions of the brain. If understanding a single aspect of human existence is still incomplete, then how can humanity formulate a perfect system that guarantees lasting peace and justice for individuals and societies? Only Allah, the Exalted, possesses complete and perfect knowledge that encompasses the past, present, and future, as well as every visible and hidden aspect of creation. For this reason, He alone is of providing a complete code of conduct that clearly distinguishes between right and wrong, benefit and harm, and guidance and misguidance. This divine guidance is not limited by time, place, or circumstance, and it is perfectly suited to human nature. History itself provides clear evidence that whenever this divine guidance has been properly understood and implemented, it has led to stability, justice, and harmony within individuals and societies. Therefore, It is essential for a person to accept and follow this guidance, recognizing that it is ultimately for their own benefit, even when it conflicts with personal desires or immediate preferences. A person should approach this guidance in the same way a wise patient approaches the advice of a skilled doctor. Even if the treatment is difficult, unpleasant, or restrictive, the patient accepts it because they trust that it will lead to their well-being. Similarly, a person should accept and act upon divine guidance, knowing that it leads to true success, inner balance, and lasting peace in both this world and the hereafter. As obedience to Allah, the Exalted, often conflicts with the desires and ambitions of people, many persist in rejecting or neglecting Islamic teachings, even if they verbally claim belief in them. Their actions contradict their words, revealing a deeper issue within their understanding and priorities. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verse 9.
No. But you deny the recompense.
When a person genuinely believes they will be held accountable for every action, it naturally influences their choices and restrains them from wrongdoing. However, when this belief is weak, distant, or treated as a mere concept rather than a certainty, a person begins to live carelessly, prioritizing immediate desires over long-term consequences. Regardless of whether a person chooses to acknowledge this reality or ignore it, their deeds are continuously being recorded. Nothing escapes this record, no matter how small or hidden. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 10 to 12.
And indeed, appointed over you are keepers, noble and recording. They know whatever you do.
This serves as a powerful reminder that accountability is not something distant or uncertain, it is already in motion. Every action, word, and intention is being preserved, and each person will inevitably face the outcome of what they have sent forward. The certainty of the Day of Judgment is further supported when one reflects on the balance present throughout creation. The universe operates with remarkable precision and harmony. The Earth is positioned at an exact distance from the Sun, allowing life to exist. The water cycle functions in a carefully measured way, ensuring that rain falls in appropriate amounts to sustain life. The ground itself is balanced in such a way that delicate plant life can emerge from it, while it remains strong enough to support massive structures. These examples, among many others, clearly demonstrate both the existence of a creator and the presence of perfect balance within creation. However, when one observes human actions, a clear imbalance becomes evident. Throughout history and even today, oppressive individuals often escape justice in this world, while many who are patient and righteous do not receive the full reward they deserve. There are those who openly disobey Allah, the Exalted, yet appear to live in comfort and luxury, while others who strive to obey Him face hardship and difficulty. This imbalance in outcomes cannot represent the final reality. Just as balance exists throughout the rest of creation, it must also exist in the outcome of human actions. Since this balance is not fully realized in this world, it must be established in another stage of existence, the Day of Judgment. Although Allah, the Exalted, has the power to fully reward and punish in this world, He chooses not to do so completely for profound wisdoms. One of these is that He grants people repeated opportunities to repent, change, and correct their behavior. If punishment were immediate and complete, many would lose the chance to return to the right path. Similarly, the full reward for the righteous is not given in this world because this life is not meant to be paradise. Another important aspect is the role of belief in the unseen. The promise of full reward and complete justice in the hereafter is not directly visible, and this is what gives faith its true value. If everything were immediately visible and experienced in this world, belief would no longer carry the same meaning or significance. It is through trusting in what lies beyond immediate perception that a person demonstrates sincerity and conviction. Maintaining a balance between fear and hope is therefore essential. Fear of accountability and punishment discourages a person from committing sins, while hope in mercy and reward motivates them to perform good deeds. Together, these two elements guide a person towards a life of discipline, purpose, and sincerity. For the day of recompense to occur, this worldly life must come to an end. Reward and punishment can only be fully established once all actions have been completed. As long as people continue to act, the final judgment cannot take place. This clearly indicates that the material world is temporary and will inevitably conclude, bringing an end to all actions and beginning the stage of complete accountability. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed. And none will be wronged.
Reflecting on these realities strengthens a person's conviction in the Day of Judgment and encourages them to prepare for it properly. This preparation involves using all blessings in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through this, a person can achieve true peace of mind and lasting success in both worlds, by maintaining a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verse 13.
Indeed, the righteous will be in pleasure.
In contrast, those who reject or neglect their accountability to Allah, the Exalted, inevitably fall into the misuse of the blessings they have been granted. This neglect is not merely a spiritual deficiency, rather, it produces tangible consequences within their worldly lives. By turning away from divine guidance, a person loses the framework required to maintain a balanced mental and physical state, resulting in confusion and the misplacement of priorities. Matters that should serve as means of support, such as family, friendships, career, and wealth, are instead transformed into sources of stress and dissatisfaction. As disobedience persists, this imbalance deepens. A person begins to attribute their inner turmoil to external factors, blaming the wrong individuals and circumstances, such as their spouse, family members, or professional environment. This misdirected blame often leads to the severing of beneficial relationships, thereby removing sources of support and stability. Consequently, their condition deteriorates further, potentially leading to serious mental and emotional struggles, including anxiety, depression, harmful dependencies, and even destructive tendencies. This pattern is not difficult to observe in society. Many who outwardly possess wealth, fame, and material comfort nevertheless experience profound inner unrest. Despite having access to worldly luxuries, their inability to use these blessings in accordance with the guidance of Allah, the Exalted, deprives them of true contentment and peace of mind. This demonstrates that external abundance cannot compensate for internal imbalance caused by spiritual neglect. Furthermore, by consistently ignoring their accountability, such individuals fail to prepare for the Day of Judgment. Their focus remains confined to temporary worldly concerns, leaving them unprepared for the eternal reality that follows. As a result, not only do they experience distress and instability in this world, but they also face far greater consequences in the hereafter. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 14 to 16.
And indeed, the wicked will be in hellfire. They will enter to burn therein on the day of recompense. And never therefrom will they be absent.
Allah, the Exalted, concludes this chapter by warning against another dangerous form of wishful thinking. This is when a person persists in disobedience, while falsely believing that someone else will secure their salvation on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 82 Al-Infitar, verses 17 to 19.
And what can make you know what is the day of recompense? Then what can make you know what is the day of recompense? It is the day when a soul will not possess for another soul power to do a thing, and the command that day is entirely with Allah.
On that day, no person will have the power to benefit another, regardless of their relationship or status. Every individual will stand alone, facing the consequences of their own actions. No relative, no matter how close or righteous, will be able to shield another from accountability. Chapter 31 Luqman, verse 33.
O mankind, fear your Lord, and fear a day when no father will avail his son, nor will a son avail his father at all.
And chapter 53 An-Najm, verse 39.
And that there is not for man except that good for which he strives.
These verses clearly establish that success in the hereafter is tied directly to one's own efforts and actions. While intercession on the Day of Judgment is a reality, it is not a license for negligence or disobedience. It is not granted to those who deliberately ignore their responsibilities. Rather, it benefits those who sincerely strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, even if they fall short at times. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 8.
Our Lord, and admit them to gardens of perpetual residence which you have promised them, and whoever was righteous among their forefathers, their spouses and their offspring.
A person who adopts a careless attitude, neglecting obedience while relying on others for salvation, is engaging in a form of self-deception. This mindset undermines the very concept of accountability, and shows a lack of respect for the seriousness of the hereafter. Such a person may ultimately face disappointment, as those they hoped would intercede for them may instead testify against them. Chapter 25 Al-Furqan, verse 30.
And the messenger has said, O my Lord, indeed my people have taken this Quran as a thing abandoned.
This verse pertains specifically to Muslims, as they are the sole community that has acknowledged and embraced the Holy Quran. In contrast, non-Muslims, having not accepted its guidance, cannot be described as abandoning it. The outcome for any Muslim against whom the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, bears witness on the Day of Judgment before Allah the Exalted is obvious. Therefore, a person must avoid relying on others and instead take personal responsibility for their own actions. True preparation involves sincere effort, fulfilling obligations, avoiding prohibitions, and using all blessings in ways that are pleasing to Allah the Exalted. This was the approach of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. Even though they lived alongside the greatest of creation, and hoped for his intercession, they did not rely on it. Instead, they exerted themselves in obedience, understanding that success depends on sincere effort combined with divine mercy. By adopting this mindset, a person protects themselves from false hope, and ensures they are genuinely prepared for the day when no soul will be able to benefit another, and when every individual will stand before Allah the Exalted alone. Therefore, a person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when these teachings contradict their personal desires. They must conduct themselves like a wise patient who accepts and follows the medical advice of a skilled doctor, knowing that the treatment is ultimately for their well-being, even if it involves bitter medicine or a strict diet. Just as this patient eventually attains good mental and physical health, so too does the person who embraces and implements Islamic teachings. This is because the only one who possesses the complete and perfect knowledge required to ensure that a person achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly places everything and everyone within their life, is Allah the Exalted. The understanding of the human mind and body possessed by society, despite extensive research, will never be sufficient to achieve this outcome. Human beings cannot resolve every issue a person may face. Their advice cannot shield one from all forms of mental and physical stress, nor can their guidance ensure that a person correctly prioritizes everything and everyone in their life. These limitations arise from restricted knowledge, limited experience, lack of foresight, and the presence of personal biases. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has granted humanity access to this knowledge through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when one observes the difference between those who use their blessings according to Islamic teachings, and those who do not. Even though patients often do not understand the science behind the medicines they are prescribed, and therefore trust their doctor without full comprehension, Allah, the Exalted, does not expect people to follow Islam blindly. Instead, He invites them to reflect upon its teachings so that they may recognize its truthfulness and appreciate its positive effects on their lives. He calls people to approach Islam with insight, not imitation. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
In addition, as Allah the Exalted alone controls the spiritual hearts of people, the true abode of peace of mind, He alone determines who attains tranquility and who does not. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It is therefore clear that Allah the Exalted grants peace of mind only to those who use the blessings He has given them in the correct manner, as outlined in Islamic teachings. Those who live according to divine guidance attain clarity, balance and inner stability, while those who misuse their blessings fall into confusion, imbalance and distress. True peace, mental, physical and spiritual, comes only from living according to the wisdom revealed by Allah the Exalted, and from recognizing that his guidance is the only path that leads to tranquility in both worlds. Chapter 16 and Nal, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon his final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.